Hello, welcome to the Technical Drawing Shed.
In this video, we're going to construct the outline of this hairbrush. For this construction, we're going to be using AutoCAD 2023. It is best advised that when you're constructing these kind of figures, that you start off by placing your datum lines or your datum lines. In this case, we see a number of center lines in the drawing here, so we are going to start off by laying these lines out. I'm going to use the line command, and I'm going to make sure that my ortho mode is turned on, and I will draw a line at a reasonable length, say up to 100 thereabouts. And the distance between this center line to the circles above here, we can see clearly that the distance between these two lines is 30 millimeters. Therefore, half of 30 gives us 15. So we will offset the center line to the top and to the bottom. We will now locate the position of this center line. And now the distance between this vertical center line to this one here, to the center of these two circles, is 70 millimeters. So we will offset the distance of 70 millimeters across. The following line, the vertical center line, has a distance of 90 millimeters from the second one that we just offset. So we are going to offset the distance of 90 millimeters away from this line. We're going to do some breaking of these lines to clean up the drawing a little bit. For these two circles towards the front end of the brush, the distance between the centers is 20 millimeters. So this center line we are going to offset to the top and the bottom 10 millimeters, half of 20. And then we'll do some cleaning up again. Use a break command. Now we are ready to commence the drawing of our arcs and circles. So we'll start off by drawing the circles that we could easily identify. So we're going to start off with the circle in the middle of the handle, the circle for the hook of the handle. The diameter of this circle is 18, the radius is therefore 9. Divide the circle towards the end of the handle of the brush. The diameter is 30, the radius is therefore 15, half of 30. So we get a circle command again, and we are going to draw this circle with a radius of 15 millimeters. At this point, if we pay close attention to this drawing here, we can tell that the center line is a line of symmetry. It means that whatever that is seen on one side basically is what that is reflected on the other side. So this line sort of acts as a mirror. So we'll focus on one side of the drawing, and then we'll reflect the drawn parts onto the other side. So we'll continue by drawing this circle here. The diameter of this circle is 20 millimeters, so therefore the radius is 10. the two small circles towards the front end, they are of the same magnitude as this one here. So we just copy this one, just place it over there, from the center to the center of this one here. We are going to proceed to draw the handle of the brush, but we're going to start from the top end. If you pay close attention to this part here, the handle, you can tell that we have two circles of unequal sizes. On this line, the line of the handle, it acts as a tangent to these two circles. So if you look carefully, you can tell that this is a common internal tangent to two unequal circles. We are going to proceed to construct this tangent that makes up the handle of the brush. The construction procedures for constructing the common internal tangent to the two unequal circles are as follows. First of all, we will connect the centers of the two circles with a straight line. And then we'll bisect this line. After bisecting this line, we'll construct a semicircle onto this line. So the center of this line, where the bisector cut this line, becomes the center for this semicircle. The distance of the center of the smaller circle to its circumference, we will take this distance and mark this distance off from the point at which the circumference of the larger circle cuts the line that connects the centers of the two circles. We know the radius of this circle, it's 10, so therefore the distance from here to the point that we try to establish would be 10. After we have established this point, we will now construct an arc from the center of the circle using this distance as a radius, and this arc should cut the semicircle. The point at which the arc cuts the semicircle is our point of interest. So we are going to construct a straight line from the center of the circle into this intersection point. We can clearly see that this construction line, it cuts the circumference of this circle at this particular point. We are going to copy this line, or rather have a line parallel to this one from the center of the smaller circle but to the bottom end. So we could just copy this line, copy it from this intersection point and placing it onto the center of this circle. The point at which this line cuts the smaller circle is a point of tangency for the line that will be binding these two circles as a tangent. So here we have the required tangent, which is this part of the handle of the brush. Right now, we are going to establish the other part of the brush. where this curve is meeting this handle and it's touching the circle and touch. Right now we are going to construct this curve that is tangentially joining. We are going to construct this curve, the radius of 20, that is tangentially joining to this line that we just constructed onto the other circle. In this case, we have a straight line, and we have this circle here to which we want to construct an arc that is tangential to both of them. This is where we employ the rule where the parallel line is to be drawn two straight lines, and arcs are constructed from the centers of circles, of course, or arcs that are already established. So knowing that this is the circle of interest, this is the line of interest, the radius of the required arc is 20 millimeters. We are therefore going to draw a line parallel to this one, the distance of 20 millimeters. So for this, we're going to use the offset command. We are now going to establish the center for the required arc from the center of this circle here. Knowing that the radius of the required arc is 20 millimeters, and understanding also of this circle here, the adjoining circle, is 10 millimeters. We'll now employ the rule of adding the radii of the two circles together and scribing that arc onto the straight line that we just offset. Adding the radius of the required arc and the radius of the established circle, we get 10 plus 20, which gives us 30. So from this center here, the radius of the required arc here would be 30 millimeters. The point at which this arc cuts the construction line is the center for the required arc. We are going to use our construction lines layer to produce this arc. The radius of this arc is 20 millimeters. This is our required arc. We are going to continue to construct this arc that spans over the length of the hairbrush. The radius of this arc is 10 millimeters. Already we've established these two circles, each of them the radius 10 millimeters. This is the case where this arc is tangential to these two circles on the inside of its curve. So therefore, we employ the rule whereby where the arcs are being blended on the inside, to establish the center for the required arc, the radius of the smaller circle or arc must be subtracted from the radius of the larger circle. So in this case, from this center, the radius of this circle, which is 10, must be subtracted from the radius of this arc, which is 100. So this gives us the distance of 90 millimeters. The same is true for the other one. The intersection of these two arcs is the center for the required arc. The radius of this arc is 100 millimeters. this point, we'll establish the front end of the brush. We can tell that we have two circles of the same magnitude, so therefore we are going to copy the one to the top and place it at the bottom center, and then to construct the arc which has a radius of 60 millimeters that is tangential to these two circles. Understanding that the arc with a radius of 60 is blending internally with the two smaller circles, we employed a similar concept or the similar rule of subtracting the radius of the smaller circle, or smaller circles in this case, from the radius of the larger circle. The radius of the smaller circle is 10, the radius of the larger arc is 60, therefore 60 minus 10 gives us 50. So from any of the two centers, we will scribe an arc to cut the center line establishing the center for the required arc. At a distance of 50 millimeters. This intersection point is the center for the required arc. Now that we have constructed half of the hairbrush, we can easily understand that everything that is on one side is reflected to the other side. We are therefore going to use the mirror tool to reflect everything that's on one side to the other. We're going to use this line of symmetry as our reference line, and there we have it. At this point, we are going to place all object lines of this construction on the required layer. So we produce our arcs in our circles, but then we can tell that our arcs are longer than required. So we are going to employ the break tool and the break and point tool to break these arcs off, and then the actual outline of the brush will be placed on the object lines layer. So now that we have broken off all our required points, we are now going to place them on the object lines layer, so the completed construction of the outline of the hairbrush can be seen. This is a completed construction of the outline of the hairbrush.